Okay, we're going to mirror this video from a former employee and some family members that he had that worked for QEHC about 11 months ago. And again, this is a teacher. What they're doing is they're underbidding these contracts in the kingdom with the government. And if the government was paying attention, they would see that these bids are so low that they're not sustainable. But unfortunately, the government accepts the lowest bid. There's no questions asked. So then what they get involved in is it's a kickback scheme where they're using the salaries and benefits of the teachers to kick back to themselves. So here's yet another example of the farce called, well, they're calling themselves QEC, but we know they're actually still QEHC. That this is part of the whole fraud, is they've attempted to rename themselves unofficially. So if you look at the teacher testimonial video we have, this is the common theme, and it's a little redundant now, but it needs to be. So they're going to promise you a lot of things at these recruitment fairs online, and it's really unlikely you're going to get the location you want. When I flew in November, I was going to be the regional manager for ABHA, but the Damam regional manager, who was supposed to fly in at the same time, he completely vanished. This guy just disappeared. So I became the regional manager for Damam, and the ABHA position was never filled. This is a common theme too. They don't fill some of the slots, lots of the slots, because they got to kick the money back to themselves. So here they never pay on time. This is an ongoing theme. Happened to us. They're going to shorten your checks too. Your checks aren't going to be itemized, so you're going to have no idea what's happening that month or in prior months. So you can see that they've been paid 2 months late. You know, their May pay was in July. The accommodation, again, we've talked about the High Hotel in Hafr al Batin, the cell tower up on top. We're going to hear other testimonies about rats and roaches, and they're going to put you in a shithole. So he's calling me a bunch of liars, and yeah, unfortunately that's the truth, is they really are. I talk about that with the regional manager of TVTC, Augustin Francisco, that he is deceptive. He's got a lot of misinformation. He knows what he's saying is false. And they're not going to, if you're actually interested in the students and interested in improving your workplace, they're going to fire you. So they want substandard teachers are fine for them, as long as you've got a pulse and you're in the classroom. And it looks like he's talking about them being vindictive too and vengeful. So these are not good characteristics of a company that one wants to work for. So they're talking about, he's again in the 100 such people in the TVTC contract. None of us had bank accounts unless you had the Akama. We were paid by check. Some of us, there's a regional manager to this day since last September of 2017 that's never cashed the check. Never been able to cash the check. The company refuses to just pay her in cash. And it's going to be stressful there because you're going to have concerns over your visa. You don't know when your pay is going to show up. If they promised you a housing allowance and you went out on your own, you're not going to get it. And so it's really going to be, it's going to be hell. Okay, so we've talked about this a little bit already, that regardless of what they tell you, you're going to go. In the contract, they're going to say that they can send you wherever they want to, and they actually can't. If your contract states that you're going to be in Jeddah, you have to be in Jeddah. They have to give you 30 days notice to move you, and you have to approve of that. That's the labor law, which you don't have to. He's talking about the driver will take you to a village. Yeah, they're going to take you. They're just going to take you. So this is a common theme, again, is they're just going to abandon you. They're not going to pay you. If you show up, we've had there's all kinds of comments of people going to the head office. It's likely they're not even going to let you in the door. as an employee, if you can find the place. It's very complicated. On the HR Mohammed Ishmael video, you can find the address. They're kind of in a rat hole. No big signs. You got to know exactly where they are. You're never going to find them. That's exactly how they want it. They're hiding. They're hiding on social media, and they're hiding in Riyadh. Okay, so one of the biggest snafus is getting your final payment. It's very painful. We've talked about this. They're putting a limit on your flight ticket reimbursement, which is outrageous. They should be actually buying you a full fare economy class with extra luggage flight, but they're not. They're going to give you about $300. And you're probably going to end up buying a second ticket because they're going to keep shifting the exit date on you. And so the exit date is when they can find the money to be able to pay you. So this is part of the fraud. It's because they've underbid these contracts and they're stealing from Peter to pay Paul. A lot of people had to cancel their flights and rebook their flights. A lot of teachers had to pay the difference of their flights to get home. So, yeah, this whole, we're going to do, if you look, they didn't really formally drop their name. Their name is still Quality Education Holding Company. This is part of the fraud. Is they sat around one day and thought, man, our reputation is horrible. They started doing they went online, they made these fake postings about what a great company they are, but you can actually, they're so blatantly fake that you'd have to be an idiot not to smell the trash that it's them. The accommodation is going to always be cheap. They're promising you the equivalent of $800 in accommodation. You're never going to see it. You'll be sitting in a hovel worth about $150 to $200 a month. In Dammam, we stayed at a hotel, and the hotel and the company refused to provide the contract to me, so I could see that they were actually paying my full housing allowance, which should have been 4,000 SAR a month, and they weren't. And the hotel had restrictions on how often you can have your room cleaned. You know, again, it just doesn't work like that, you know, except the fraud. You know, everything is operated within this fraud scheme. So the company's really known, they're not going to return phone calls or emails. They're not going to answer their phone. So be careful out there.